All right, welcome ladies and gentlemen to week number 83. My name is Mr. McLogan and this is Open Live Q&A where I go ahead and take your questions and answer them. So I'm looking forward to another week with you guys and answering some questions. I do have, I believe, four that I'm going to answer tonight, and then whatever time I have extra after that, I am happy to go ahead and address that. So these are all questions that have been pre-submitted. If you are interested in me answering your questions, then you can go ahead and use the link that is pinned in the chat, where you can go ahead and submit a question, and then each and every Sunday night, I will try to do my best to answer as many questions as I can for you. If I am not able to get to your question, then also in the pinned comment is a Discord link for you guys to go ahead and join the amazing community that has been going on with students helping each other out with their math questions. And as the new school year is now becoming to start, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and visit and join the Discord server. So therefore you can go ahead and interact with other students that are trying to figure out this whole distance learning, doing it from last year or whatever else may be the case. But I just wanted to welcome Addie and Justin and Tony and Sandeep and Diamond. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. And Tanjiro, I believe, hopefully I got your name. All right. We are actually going back to school on our teachers are reporting tomorrow. So I do have a couple other things. I'm actually going to be dropping a really, really big video next tomorrow. Actually, next week. I was saying, no, I'm actually going to be dropping it tomorrow. So I'll definitely be letting you guys know about that. You'll be hearing definitely some things on my channel, community post, and stories and stuff. I will definitely be letting you guys know about that. That is going to be kind of like a big little announcement that I don't want to talk too much about in the live stream, because obviously that is for the upcoming video that'll be going. And hey, Parker, good to have you guys on. All right, and Watermelon, so thank you for your channel. You helped me so much. Well, you are very welcome, Watermelon. I am very happy to be able to help you out. All right, guys, what I want to do is get right to these questions, and then if I have anything else that I can address with you guys afterwards, then I'll be more than happy. So if you do have any additional questions or anything, let me know after that, and we'll go from there. But again, use the link, guys, to submit your questions for next week. And if you also have not already joined the Discord server, then go ahead and join the Discord server. So how do you find the volume of a cube given a side length? Now, there's not really enough information on this, because a cube is just basically, actually a cube would be a three-sided figure that is a perfect cube, right? Yes. So because otherwise it would be a rectangular prism. So actually a cube, if you think about it, let's just go ahead and draw my best here. Cube. Okay, so that is going to be a cube, right? Now, the important thing about the understanding of a cube is all the side lengths are the same, right? So let's say we have, if this is x, right? We don't know what it is. Well, then that means that this length is x and this length is x. Now, again, when we're trying to find the volume, right, of a cube, you're just going to do length times width times height. So volume equals length times width times height. So in this case, if it's a cube, then the side length is going to be the same for the length, the width, and the height. So therefore, it's x times x times x, which is the same thing as x cubed. So whatever your length is, that's all you're going to do is go ahead and cube it. All right, let's go ahead, and the next one is 6w squared minus w equals 5. The student didn't say what the question was. They just gave this to me, so I'm assuming they want me to solve it because it is an equation. They didn't tell me how they wanted to solve it, so I'll just assume I'm going to try to solve by factoring, because typically when you have a quadratic, the first thing you typically want to do is look into factoring. That's going to be the easiest way most often. So when we're solving a quadratic equation, what I'm going to first want to do is get these to the same side and set it equal to 0. And now if it is factorable, I can apply the zero product property, because basically what factoring is allowing me to do is to rewrite this equation, or rewrite the expression as a product, and then I'll have a product equal to 0, which will become very important. Okay, so if this trinomial is factorable, that means I can break it up into a product of two binomials. All right, now I need to know what's going to multiply to give me a 6w squared. Now, most students will kind of look at this as like a 3w and a 2w, right? Because wouldn't you agree that 3w times 2w gives you a 6w squared? And then the last two numbers are going to multiply to give us a negative 5. Now, the issue here is they only are going to have a they're going to multiply to give us a -5, but then my middle terms, this 2w times this one and this, is going to add to give me a -1. And if you kind of think about this, it doesn't matter if you put a 1 here or a 5 there or a 5 here and a 1 there. You're never going to get a difference of -1. It's just not going to work. So what I'm going to do is say, all right, well, then let's try 6w. And then this would just be a positive w, okay, equals 0. And now if I want to get to a -5, I want to see, like, where am I trying to find this difference? And I say, well, you know what? If I put a, let's say, a +5 here and a -1 there, that's going to work, right? Because again, this 6w times 6w is a 6w squared. 5 times -1 is going to give me the -5 that I need. And then this needs to give me a difference. When I multiply and add these together, I need to get a difference of -1. And look what we have. We have 5w times -6w, which equals -1. So it works out. So we're good. So now what can we do when we have this product equal to 0? Right? Well, we have both of these products equal to 0. What we can do is we'll call the 0 product property and just set these both equal to 0. Okay, and therefore you can do subtract 5. So you'd have 6w equals a -5. Divide by 6, w equals a -5/6. And then here we'll add 1 to both sides and w equals 1. And there you go. Jesus, I do have calculus. I'm not teaching calculus this year, but I do have calculus that is on my channel. If you go ahead and take a look at my playlist. Yes, thank you, Justin. All right, question number 3. We're just trying to find the angle in degrees. So the main thing that you need to understand for all triangles is all the angles add up to 180. So this is going to be 90 degrees, right? That's a right angle. So basically I have x degrees, right, plus 63 degrees plus 9 degrees. And that equals 180 degrees. Okay, so again, you can just do a little math here. We can combine like terms. So x is going to equal, oops, I don't really need to even write the x degrees. You can, there's just the, I don't know why that connected there, but let's just leave it there. So that's going to be plus 153, right, degrees equals 180. And then we can subtract 153. And they say, all right, well, 180 minus 53 is what can be, let's see, that would be 27. So x equals 27 degrees. And there you go. And then question number 4, can you do a brief synopsis of functions and a function's inverse? All right, so let's take a function. So if I have a function, f of x equals, I'm just going to keep this fairly simple, x plus 1. Okay, keep it very simple. So if I say f of 2, right? So that is my input. And then what happens here is this is my rule, right? So that's my rule. This is my name of my function. Okay, so I have f of x, which is the name. Here is my rule. Okay, so when I plug in f of 2, right? Now what happens here? I have a 2 plus 1. So I put the input into the rule. And what do I get is 3. That is what we call our output. Okay, so when we have our function, right? So if we say, here is our function, f of x. Okay, and so what that tells us here is if I have like an x and a f of x. So whenever I plug in a 2, what do I get out? A 3, right? So go to 2, I get to 3. Or we could also look at it like this, 2, we could use the mapping feature. That's going to take me to a 3. Okay, that is the rule of the function. So all the inverse is doing is saying, well, what if I want to go backwards? What if I want to plug in a 3? If I'm going to plug in a 3, I want to be able to see what that value is going to be, which in this case is going to be a 2, right? That's what the inverse, that is what I am looking for. So to figure out the function, what we're going to do is kind of undo this function rule. We're going to undo the rule. So the way to do this, and kind of like a helpful tip, is rather than using f of x, we're just going to call this a y. Okay, so you can use the same thing. It doesn't really matter. But now what we're going to do is we're going to swap the variables. Okay, because we want to kind of go backwards. So we're going to swap the variables, and then we're going to solve for y. All right, so we subtract 1, subtract 1. So x minus y equals y. And then we can just rename this as f inverse. F inverse of x equals a x minus 1. So again, this is our name, and this is our rule. Now, again, watch what happens. When I plug in f inverse of 3, what do I get? I plugged in 3 minus 1, and I get a 2. And that's exactly what we're looking for, right? The inverse, f inverse of x, goes from 3 to 2, right? So if this is f of x, which is going from input to output, the inverse goes from your output to your input. And that's how we will go ahead and use that inverse. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen, basically for the 4 questions that were submitted for this week. Again, if you have questions that you'd like me to answer next week or as your school year is going on, then feel free to go ahead and use the link in the description as well as in the chat where you guys can definitely go and connect there, as well as you can use that chat as well as go ahead and reach out to the Discord server. So let me go and see. Miss Cole, have a great day. I am. Thank you very much. Interesting. All right. Very well. So if you guys have any other additional questions, feel free just to kind of let me know. I am happy to kind of head on. I've kind of shortened down the live streams that I've done previously just because I've wanted to I want to make sure I kind of got right to the point, because I know there's a lot of students that will definitely are submitting questions. They want to kind of see where things are going on. And I want to make sure that I have that everything for you guys and kind of get right quick to the point. And then once I'm done with the math, if you guys have any other questions, we can definitely go ahead and address them. Real mathematics. Yes. Very well. Popular questions that people have. Well, yeah, these are the questions that people submitted for this week. And actually one of the things I'm doing is I'm actually going through all of my live streams that I previously did. And I'm actually going to be cutting those up and kind of re-uploading them. So I am definitely looking forward to that. Now, I actually haven't got into my comments, but I was wondering if you guys actually have any. I know some of you have seen when you're going to post to tell you about your major change. Well, yeah, Stephen, that's what I was wondering. I wonder if anybody had any actually thoughts that they wanted to post in the chat this year as far as a major change or whatever else that you guys have been thinking. So I'm just kind of interested to see what you guys have or thoughts that you guys are thinking. Stephen, Roger, when are you going to post? Oh, yeah, there was going Diamond tips. Do you have any tips for this year? I'm taking Geometry 1 honors and any help would be appreciated. Diamond, I am looking forward to creating some more geometry content for this year. So hopefully that's going to be helpful for you. As far as some tips, I think with geometry, it's so difficult compared to other courses that you may have taken to just kind of remember all the theorems and the processes and the formulas. So I would definitely start a formula theorem kind of like bank and like on a sheet of paper or flashcards, whatever, and just constantly be reviewing that stuff. Just constantly, it's not so, I don't want you to be cramming, it's not something that you're going to need to know for the rest of your life, but it's something that constantly keeps on getting reviewed and brought up over and over again. So once you have those kind of theorems and you have those definitions and everything else, just start having them written down and just something that you can review, once a week, just to kind of go through and keep fresh. Because I think at the end of the year, the students that, can remember or recall a lot of those definitions are the ones that are going to be in the best position to be successful. Tips for Algebra 1. Yeah, I think for Algebra 1, it's, that's going to be a little bit different than for geometry. I think for Algebra 1 is you don't be satisfied with just understanding the current topic. And I think that's something that I got stuck with, that hurt me as a student is I understood stuff in Algebra 1. I'm like, okay, great. I know how to do this. And I never challenged myself past that. And what happened was there was a lot that I really didn't understand. And I just kind of like brushed it off. Well, if you got to think, depending on where you're going depending on where, what you're doing with your mathematics career, if you have more courses to take after Algebra 1, make sure that you just don't try to push things under the rug and hope that they're not going to come back to you. And so I really highly recommend that once you feel like you understand a concept, that you keep on looking for different ways that you can get confused or, problems that are maybe more difficult for you and go from there. So come on. Why that's being so delayed. What is going on? Stop that. Is it maybe because of this? It's weird. Okay. There we go. All right. What should I study? I am not sure. For your placer, do not know. Sorry about that, Jacob. Have you thought about Twitch streaming your math? No, Samuel, I have not thought about doing Twitch for on there. I think masks will be mandatory. Do you think there will be a surge in COVID cases due to the adult? It's a good question. I don't really know. I think definitely being inside the classroom and bringing people back is always going to add in things. But you know, as far as a major swing one or the other, I don't really know. I don't know if that's going to be, you know, so much the case or not. I have a question, sir. In the circumstance that there's a quadratic inequality, what do you do regardless if it is less than, more than, or equal to? Well, I mean, you're just like when you're doing a quadratic inequality, you know, you just got to understand, like, come on, why is this being weird? So when you have a quadratic inequality, right? So, I mean, you know, it could be dotted or it could be a solid boundary line, but you're either going to be above, right, this quadratic, or below. Okay. So typically what you're going to want to do is find the solution points, just kind of like what we did here, right? When you look at this quadratic that I solved, you know, what did we do? We found the x-intercepts, right? And that's what I recommend you doing here is typically you're going to want to find those x-intercepts, and then you can use your test points, you know, and determine if your test point, if it's true, right? If it makes the inequality true, then that means your inequality is going to be true, and anything above the line, anything above that graph will be true. If you have your test point down here, and that's true, then obviously anything below that is going to be true. So that's kind of the difference. But I think it's usually helpful to either find the x-intercepts or to look at the vertex, and that's where you can kind of understand where your what the graph is going to look like and if that's going to make the inequality true or not. Based on I'm trying to get ahead, and it seems to be vocabulary based. Yes, geometry is just huge in vocabulary, absolutely huge. I mean, I would create a little flip book and something that you could just constantly be able to go over, not studying for like 5 hours every night, but something that you can go over. And again, kind of going back to the algebra 1 point that I made, even though if you're like, oh, I already know side, angle, side, blah, 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 like still just go over it. Keep it fresh in your brain. That's something that is extremely important for you. Are there any general subject differences? I mean, I think that really all depends on the teacher and the school and the curriculum differences. In my school and district, the curriculum was basically the same. Obviously, it was kind of left up to the teacher to kind of differentiate that. I think there were some different standards, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I taught Algebra 2 and Algebra 2 Standard in the same year. When I did teach it, I do remember there was a couple different standards that we taught that we were able to go in with the Algebra 2 honors that we didn't cover with the Algebra 2 Standard. But typically, I would say a lot of it would have been the kind of instruction and the pacing, you know, as far as like how quickly we were able to go over stuff, and the less of the remediation of common Algebra 1 topics from on there. But majority of the content that we taught was about the same. You know, it's just kind of the pace was a little bit slower for the standard compared to the honors. All right. Oh, it's a lot. Okay. This I wrote to you. College math strategies. Well, you know, I think a lot of the strategies that I do talk about are going to be help you successful in in high school or in college. So, I haven't really separated anything from there, but yeah, I think I only teach in the high school level. So, even though a lot of my strategies came from when I was in, college, and then I've applied them as a teacher in high school. But yeah, I would say they definitely help you out from there. Sam, do you have any tips for advanced placement tests for algebra in college? Practice. Just do as many practice problems as you possibly can. I presume solving a quadratic equation, and then the question 2 is possible by using the quadratic formula. Yes, that is correct, Jacob. I can get the answer by factoring, but I get the wrong answer by using the equation. All right, well, Jacob, let's go ahead and take a look at that problem. What was that problem again? 6w, or what was it? So 6w minus w minus 5. Okay, so the important thing here is when you're doing the quadratic equation, 6w minus w minus 5, okay? So when you're doing the quadratic formula, okay, you got to make it equal to 0. So one of the common mistakes that students will make when they are solving a quadratic equation is they don't set it equal to 0. You have to set it equal to 0, all right? Because when we're looking at this ax squared plus bx plus c, it's equal to 0. Okay, so if you have terms on the other side, get them to the same side. Make sure it's set equal to 0 before you do anything. Now, once you have this equation, it's x equals opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a, right? All right. So now we got to do is just kind of plug in our information. So basically, here's our a, that's our b, and that's our c, right? So we have opposite of 1, so x equals positive 1, right? Plus or minus, because the opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. Let's see, we're going to have b squared, so negative 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is a 6, times c, which is negative 5. Okay, and that's going to be all over 2 times a. All right, so then we have x equals 1. Plus or minus here, we have 1. Let's see, that is going to be, so I could do 4 times 5, that would be 20, so that would be 120. What the heck? Oh, that'd be 121. Okay. So I was like, something's not making sense, but there we go. 121 divided by 12. And the square root of 121 is going to be 11. So it's 1 plus or minus 11 divided by 12, which equals 12 over 12. And was that my answer? I forgot my answers. Yeah, I did have 1, right? Okay. And then 1 minus 10, and then also I had a, so okay, let's just put this down here. So then I have x equals a 12 over 12, and x equals a negative 10 over 12. Okay, so x equals 1, and x equals, let's see, divide by 2 in the top and the bottom, so therefore that's a negative 5 over 6. So 1 and negative 5 over 6, let's see how I did. Voila, there you go. So let me know where you made your mistake, or maybe it's just a general mistake from there. I would say probably one of the bigger mistakes that students make is with the quadratic formula, or not setting equal to 0 first. Let's see. Yeah, so let me know, Jacob. I'm already studying 10 pages of my notebook, and it's mind-blowing. Yeah, it's very much. That's why a lot of people do not like geometry. Show me you mean your first round geometric. Basically, you need to practice. Yes. Why don't make live during the day? You always make them at night. Yes, well, so part of the reason why I don't make my lives during the day is obviously because I'm teaching during the day, during my live classroom. There are actually some old live streams I made actually inside the classroom. It was kind of crazy. But one of the things I want to do this year actually is do some live streams, like, yeah, kind of mix it up, to kind of do sometimes when I have free time during the day. And, like closer to like after school, because I know everybody's in different time zones anyway. So, this 9 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time is not conducive to everybody. So I did want to kind of mix them sometimes for you guys. So we'll see how that goes. I'll let you guys know about that for sure. I've never taught IB. At my school, we only had the ACE program from on there. I don't understand algebra and stuff, but I love the quantum. Well, that's awesome, Maddie. Factor and product. Can I have problems from? All right, so Alex, that is going to be a difference of 2 cubes problem, and crap, I'm gonna have to remember what that is. So we'll see if I remember. 27x cubed plus 8. Now the reason why I knew it was a difference of 2 cubed, sum of 2 cubes, is because 27 is a cube number, right? That's 3 cubed. And 8 is a cube number. That's 2 cubed. So remember, like, difference of 2 squares, when you have like square number and another square number, you kind of think difference of 2 cubes. When I see like a 2 cube numbers, and then also like this is a cube number too, right? So what I want to do is I want to be able to write this as a sum of 2 cubes. So what I can do is I can rewrite this as a 3x cubed plus a 2 cubed. Okay, now we got to remember our formula. So let's see if I can remember. So 8 cubed plus b cubed is going to be a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Now, for those of you that are not going live like myself, if you guys could check my math and make sure that is the correct formula, I'm pretty sure. But again, I don't do a lot of solving difference or the sum of two cubes in real life. It's basically a lot of times when I'm doing this math for teaching or inside the classroom. So just want to double check to make sure I remember it correctly. And I'm going to assume that's going away, and I'm just going to check in the chat, and I'll wait for you guys to kind of give me the thumbs up. And then we'll go from there. So if I have 3x cubed plus 2 cubed, that means this is my a and that's my b, right? You know, they're both true. So yes, Jacob, that is correct. It's opposite of b. It's opposite of the sign when you're doing the quadratic formula. So that's going to be a 3x plus 2 times a 3x squared minus 3x times 2 plus a 2 squared. Okay, so here I have a 3x plus 2. This is going to be a 9x squared. This becomes a minus a 6x, and then that's going to be a plus 4. And now you can see I have taken my original problem and I have rewritten it as a product, and therefore that is going to be my factored form. Yes, I remember the signs using soap. Yeah, that's, I can't remember that one, but yeah, that's definitely another one you can use. All right. There you go. A machinist and would be amazed how much geometry use. Oh, well, very good, Stephen. I like that. I don't make sense, but while I was in college, we learned how to factor. I do not know what you're talking about as far as the factoring technique. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, as far as factoring, there's many, many different ways you can like kind of work around things and play with it. But I've always kind of, I've felt for the speed a lot of times because I teach to the upper level. For speed and factoring, I like to be able to do as much. And I also think it helps with your number sense to do a lot of that in your head. But I know when you are first learning how to factor, it can be confusing and it can be difficult. So using a lot of those techniques to help you get through that is definitely helpful, or can be helpful. All right. I think CBC is going to be the best part of geometry because, yes, congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent is very helpful in the geometry. Just don't always select it as a multiple choice answer. Thanks, Angela, was separating 27x. You don't come to me and tell me that you're okay. All right, guys. Well, it is time for me to finish off. Again, thank you so much, guys, for submitting your questions. And tonight, if you guys do have additional questions that you'd like me to answer for next week, then go ahead and submit them in the link in the chat. Or you can also, if you have not joined the Discord server, go over there now and join for the school year. I think it's going to be amazing help for you. And then also, always looking for people to be able to help others out with their math questions. Otherwise, guys, I will see you again next week. And again, a big video is dropping tomorrow. I hope you guys go ahead and check it out. All right, guys, have a good night. Cheers.